Welcome back to another Girl Power Day Zero build, everyone, and today we start with our half-kit characters, and we begin with Kinoko Komori, or as I like to call her, the hidden terror of Class 1B. I was one of those people who in the show thought, oh, she grows mushrooms. That's cute, I guess, until she almost murdered Tokoyami with them, and then I realized this girl is a nightmare fuel. But she is also one of the more difficult characters for me to build in these Day Zeros. I struggled with her, Ochako, and I believe Jiro the most. Just because, while those ones felt like they were trying to do something weird, Kinoko here feels a little too open-ended. But let's dive right into her, shall we? She is a 6 hand size 29 health character. She has 1B and Student as her character traits. She has the Earth, Death, and Water symbols, and today I went with Death on a basic Death ranged package. So her abilities, she has 3 enhances. The first you can only use during your attack. You add 1 mushroom counter to a rival foundation. This attack gets +1 damage for every 2 mushroom counters in play. So, kind of alright. You do have to put it on your rival's foundation, which means that they can control whether or not you keep that mushroom counter. Granted, if the face-up foundation that you put it on is flipped, it would keep the counter, and you can put counters on face-down foundations, but if they're destroyed, you lose them, obviously. Which, her second enhance is destroy 1 foundation, that's the cost. This attack gets +1 speed, playable by either player. So your rival can destroy their cards with mushroom counters on them to give your attack or their attack +1 speed, depending on whose turn it is. Or whose attack it is, I should say. But that can severely hamper your damage output with your mushroom counters. Hello, Sam. And then her final enhance is a commit cost, so you commit her. If there are 5 or more mushroom counters in play, draw 2 cards. So making you a pseudo 8-hander. But it is pretty interesting. She seems like she's going to be a slow, grindy kind of mid-game character. So let's get into her attack lineup. We're starting off with Split Gill Lung Strike. This is her ultra rare. It's got ranged and stun 2. It's a 3 mid 5. You can add as an enhance a mushroom counter to any card in either player stage, which would include assets and your character, which is really cool. Mainly because then if you put it on like an asset or something, your rival's character, your rival can't destroy their character, so that's going to be a mushroom counter that sticks around. And then as an enhance, if you have 10 or more mushroom counters in all stages combined, this attack becomes unblockable, which would be great if you can stack a whole bunch of mushroom counters on the field, pump a whole bunch of damage with Kinoko, and then just make this unblockable. That is goals. I don't see how often you're doing that, though, unfortunately. But this is just mainly to add more mushrooms and to stun our rival. Next we have Acid Sprinkler. This is a Mina 3 card. It's got ranged. It's a 6 mid 4. If it deals damage, your rival discards a card, but they may destroy 1 foundation to cancel this ability. Obviously, they would want to destroy things with mushroom counters on them, so this is a good opener if you have no mushroom counters. Or, you know, you can just use the enhance that your next Ranger Slam gets +2 speed, trying to push through your other cards. Either way, it's a 6 speed move that can wear the damage of Kinoko pretty well, and boosting the speed of your next attack, which could boost to 5, 5, 6, and 5 speed, just could make things a little bit more difficult to deal with. You really wouldn't want to use the enhance to force your rival to discard, because they're usually just going to destroy a foundation with a mushroom counter anyway, but this could be pretty fun play around if they've destroyed all of their foundations with mushroom counters, like panicking to get rid of your damage boost, and then you hit them with this enhance and said, cool, if this hits, you're going to discard a card, or you lose a foundation that you don't want to lose. Next up we have Lizard Tail Splitter. This is going to be a really fun uncommon that I think you're going to see a lot of. It's got Deadlock Echo, which is good deadlock threatening. You can discard a card to force your rival to add a card from their hand to their card pool, and then both players draw. So ripping possibly a good block out of their hand, clogging their card pool, which gives all of your attacks pseudo +1 speed for the turn, and since it stuffs the card pool, another attack that wears the damage from Kinoko pretty well. Especially if you can echo it with your rival in deadlock, but because our character allows your rival to destroy their own foundations, they're likely not going to go into deadlock. Next we have Instant Shining Flash. This is just a good flow card. You flip a foundation to have your next attack, your next card get -1 difficulty, and after you play it, your rival spends a momentum. So it's good for momentum hate on characters like Amajiki or Mirio, and can help your future attacks flow a little bit better. And lastly, we have Provisional Pursuit. It's a combo. It combos with a ranged card, so as long as it's preceded immediately by a ranged card, we get to draw a card and seal a rival foundation. So, pretty standard, just your basic kind of mid-range poke style. We're really dependent on Komori for our damage. But the thing is, if you're putting mushroom counters on foundations your rival would not want to destroy, like really good foundations, maybe they don't destroy those good foundations for the +1 speed, at least on your attacks. So you're able to build up your mushroom counters that way. And of course, if you commit Kinoko during your turn, your rival cannot use the destroy on their turn to give their cards +1 speed. So, kind of fun, kind of interesting. She's really gonna struggle. She's gonna be a fun locals deck, and I just built her off Death because I wanted to run the ranged package, and I was thinking, most of this has water. I probably could have tried a water build. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe there's some reason I wanted to build this. I'm not entirely sure, guys. Like I said, I built 20 decks over 3 days in a hotel room. So, one of those Jack Torrance all work and no play kind of deals. So, we'll see where this goes. Points if you get that reference, by the way. Let me know in the comments if you got that reference. You're real OGs. For our non-attacks, we start with Shroom Shooter. It's a unique asset. You can commit it to give 2 foundations a mushroom counter. And mind you, you don't have to only have 1 mushroom counter per foundation. This can put mushroom counters on foundations that already have mushroom counters. So you can store more mushrooms on your side of the field to give more damage that your rival wouldn't be able to interact with at that point. And then you can destroy it to ready a card with a mushroom counter on it. So if we put one on Komori with Split Gill Lung Strike, I feel like I'm choking on a mushroom, we can then ready her to draw another 2 cards if we wanted to, which is pretty good, turning us into a pseudo 10-hander for the turn. It is a unique asset, so you can only run 1 of it in your stage at a time, but it is kind of the engine of the deck, so I want to see it as fast as possible, so I put 4 in here. Plus, it's got that really nice +1 high block, which is neat. And for actions, we have Showdown. This is good to cancel our rivals' actions, or to shut down their kill turns by committing their foundations when we block with it. All in all, just a really good card, one of the best defensive actions in the game thus far. For our foundations, I've got Maximum Viscosity, basically saying if any of our attacks deal damage, our rival's going to lose a health per maximum viscosity. So they likely wouldn't want to increase the speed of our attacks with Kinoko, because then they're going to have a hard time blocking them, which can then cause them to lose more health. So it's basically, do you want to mitigate my damage, or do you want to lose more health? Kind of something like that, which could be fun. Fungus Among Us, after you build it, you put a mushroom counter on it, so it's a free mushroom, and then you can commit it to give this attack up to +3 or -3 speed, based on how many mushroom counters you have in play. I'm glad they capped this, but I think capping it at 3, I don't know, maybe 5 would be too much, but considering your rival can pop their foundations with your own character, maybe 4 would have been fine, maybe 5, I don't know. Not entirely sure. Or make it unlimited and make it unique, I don't know. Next we have Invincible Body. This is a first enhance, so this enhance has to be the first one you try to use during any given enhance step, or you lose access to it for that enhance step. You remove this card to reduce this attack's damage to 0. So if your rival's really just boosting up really well, you can just reduce its damage to 0 and basically hopefully not block. Botan's Coaching, great for filtering cards, good for ripping a card out of your rival's hand, hopefully messing up block zones, and you get to discard a card you don't need to draw a card. Keiko's Aid, again, one of the best. I think this card itself makes, let's loop around here, makes these three symbols much more appealing than you would normally think, simply for Keiko's Aid. Because after you block with it, your rival's next attack gets +2 difficulty. They can't play a foundation next to get around that, which is really good. We've got number 3 Pro Hero, so you can flip this before your end phase to add a ranged card from your card pool to your hand. So any of our attacks that maybe didn't deal damage, or something that we can reuse on our next turn, like Lizard Tail Splitter or Split Gill Lung, we can put them into our hands and play them in our next turn. Or, fun little tech, we can play Instant Shining Flash on our turn, our rival spends a momentum, pick it up with number 3 Pro Hero, block with it, our rival spends another momentum. So getting rid of 2 momentum over the course of a turn cycle, not the best, but if you know your rival's playing cards like Walk the Dog, maybe something you can do there. Always Cool, so you can either destroy this card as a response. After an attack is played, its damage cannot be modified, limiting your rival to some printed damage dealing. Or, as an enhance, you can add it to your card pool to build the top 2 cards of your deck. This helps with your stringing, or just if you need absolutely +1 more foundation during your rival's turn to block and you don't mind adding a little bit to progressive difficulty. We've got Internship with Best Genist as an Earth response, which we are an Earth character. After we play this card, we can mill the top card of our deck, and our rival will flip a foundation. So this is good for denying some resource abilities to our rival, and it's a decent spam. Struggling with Studies is just good defense. It allows us to protect our other foundations from being flipped, and we can pick up a card that we've blocked with if our rival plays a 3rd or greater attack in a turn. We have Surviving the Final, just always good speed hate, spam, just once per turn, -1 speed's really good. Fighting for Control, you're going to see this uncommon everywhere because it's just a great opener for your rival's first attack. Just flip it, and your rival's check gets -2. So it's like, oh, you checked a 5 on your 5 diff, well now you checked a 3. Sure, you're going to commit 2 foundations and keep going, but that's 2 less foundations you have during your turn and then mine. Class Membership, I really like this card because after you partial block, you can gain 2 health. This includes on the life symbol if you block with something like Faith Shield, where the attack would not deal damage. As long as it was still a partial block, you still gain the 2 health. And then finally, Awake, all of our attacks are either high or mid, so we can commit a foundation to give our attack +1 speed and +1 damage. And then if we don't have a mushroom counter on that foundation, we can blow it up with Kinoko for an additional +1 speed, so we get +2 speed and +1 damage on any attack that we want to throw. So like the Acid Sprinkler becomes an 8 mid-5. That's pretty good. Lizard Tail Splitter can become a 5 mid-5 after stuffing a card in our rival's card pool. This becomes a 5 high 6. It's just really good for using our foundations to help try to push some damage through and maybe burn a little bit more with maximum viscosity. So there you go. There is your basic mushroom Kinoko Komori deck. If I'm being honest, I'm much more excited for Shroom Shooter and Split Gill Lung Strike in other characters. I know there's been rumblings of a Bui deck idea floating around. I'm definitely working on something like that myself. But when I saw these 2 cards in particular, you know, you could put a mushroom on a character and then ready your character, I definitely started looking at what characters could use these 2 cards other than Kinoko. Just because it seems like a fun little gimmicky trick to do. But yeah, what do you guys think about the most terrifying little mushroom fairy tale girl? I am afraid of her, mainly because I don't want my lungs filling with mushrooms. But I think she's neat. I think she's a fun locals character. I'm kind of a fan of having casual characters, because you don't want every character to be like this hyper aggressive younger Toguro meta-defining high-octane character, it's fun to have a couple of casual characters in a set that you can just take to locals and have fun because, above all else, this is a game. It's supposed to be played for fun. So, are any of you guys going to try this wacky character out at your locals? If so, let me know in the comments below what you're planning, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys.